And now joining us, we have Dan Meyer. We're very happy to have you here today on this nice springy day.
It is springy day. Got to break out a little bit of spring color today. Look at I match.
I
know. You got the orange.
No, you guys
salmon,
are snazzy. I didn't get the memo.
I'll tell you. Thanks for the memo. Want to let folks know of a couple of things that are coming up next week. On the 18th is the annual Spelling Bee for Grown-Ups.
Okay.
We're looking forward to that. We hope to have about 30 to 40 teams, which is great. Portion of the proceeds are going to go to WIN, the Western Youth Network, for their after-school tutoring program. They have about 60 kids that are participating in that, and we want to help them out. And but it's a great afternoon program. For many of them, it's the difference between passing grades and really understanding material, which is more important than just the grade. It's understanding the material. So we're excited about that. So if you've got friends or a family, just a family, get your 4 family members together and come on. It's $60 for a team. You name your team, you put a costume together, you decorate your table, and we give prizes for each of those, and then you spell. Did you see on national TV they had a spelling bee out in the Midwest someplace? It was not the final thing, it was a final regional for a particular school district. They went 112 rounds, I think it was. 2 students just back and forth. They just,
wow.
Oh my goodness.
They ran out of words and had to adjourn and come back the next day with another list of incredible.
Wow.
Incredible.
I wish I was that smart.
Me too. That good of a speller.
And then a few years ago, we'd gotten through the preliminary rounds that are just kind of fun, and we got to our very first elimination round word. And out of the 40 teams that were there, only 1 team spelled it right. So on the very first word that counted, the spelling bee was over.
Oh, how funny.
And the word was whippoorwill.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Whippoorwill is a bird.
Okay.
Okay.
I learn
don't know
something
how to
new
spell
every
it.
day.
Look it up, folks. Whippoorwill.
Yeah, exactly.
And then 2 days later, on Thursday, we'll be having our next business after hours. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn Express, great hotel here in town. We had over 120 people to the last one at Badcock. We've already gotten more than that, not more than that, excuse me. We've already gotten about 60% of that already RSVP'd coming in, and usually they wait till late, so we look to have well over 100 again. This is a business networking opportunity. And so if you're in business, we would love to have you there. Give us a call if you're coming, if you'd like to come and be our guest, but do RSVP at the Chamber, 264-2225. So they're always good events.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because I need to RSVP. I was planning on coming to that.
There you go.
Nice reminder.
There you go. Lots of what we talk about here on a weekly basis are what I refer to as the material is documented plagiarism. These are obviously not all self-generated things, but I do a lot of reading. When I come in the morning, I don't know how everybody starts their morning in their office, but I look at the news. I look at the BBC News online. I look at the Jerusalem Journal online, because that's where a lot of things are happening. I look at Drudge. I look at CNN. I look at Fox. I look at the Charlotte Observer. And then I look at the GoBlueRidge.net to see what's happening. Because we don't live in an isolated world, and things that impact someplace else can impact us here. So, I mean, I was struck by that when I heard that Cheap Joe's took a real hit with the Sandy hurricane. I never thought about it, but that's their biggest market. So all of a sudden there's nobody, they're incapacitated, they can't call, and to realize that a local business could be impacted by that. So I try to read and find out what's going on every morning, and before I start the day, so I can respond to things. Well, a couple of them are business journals and things like that I look at too. So I get a lot of material from those, which I think are great. Recently, we've asked our Watauga Leadership Challenge class to each send at least one article to all the rest of the members of the class. And they have come up with some astounding articles on leadership, community involvement, that type of thing. And they have just been excellent. I wish there was some way to let everybody have insight into those articles. But that was the one characteristic that was most prominent throughout the nominees for the class this year, was that as a hobby, most of them put reading. So, and not just reading for fun.
Yeah, I like to read.
But reading to learn. We need to be lifelong learners. So that's the intro to say that this is documented plagiarism this morning, and that this is material that I just recently saw on unpretty truths about running a business. Things that we don't like to admit necessarily, but they're true, and things that are hard to take, but they're true. Number one, your target market isn't everybody. A lot of people think, well, everybody's going to want what I have. Well, no, they're not. I worked with a couple that were looking at starting a business up here, and they said, wow, there's lots of all these part-time people and all these second homes and all this. They would certainly want my business. And I said, no, wait a minute. I said, Watauga County has about 53,000 people. Okay? So take out of there 17,000 students. Oh. Take out of there all the school-age children. Oh. Take out of there all the people that are not homeowners, because they were geared to homeowners. And I said, oh, they hadn't thought about that. So everybody's not your market. You can't just say because the population is this, boom.
Right.
Or that everybody is going to want your product. Number two, what you do isn't special.
Yeah.
Ooh, that one hurts. Everybody thinks that what I do is really special. Not really. How many tire stores are there in town? How many restaurants are there in town? How many hairdressers are there in town? Other people are doing virtually the same thing. Now, what is important is number three, and that value lasts and cheap fleets, is fleeting. Just because you're the cheapest doesn't mean that you have the value there. So how you conduct your business makes a huge difference, because you do have almost identical competitors in most areas. So you have to look at that. We could even look at doctors. They even rate doctors now on the internet. They rate medical systems on the internet. All of those things. So know your competition and realize that you're not the only one doing it. So what are you doing that puts you out front, that differentiates you from all the rest? Number four, your business bank account isn't a piggy bank.
That's a big one.
A lot of people say, well, I'm in business, so I'll just charge that to the business. Well, everything isn't a business expense. And the IRS is tightening down on a lot of things. A lot of people used to have the office in home, but if you've got a real office to go to, you can't deduct an office in home, even though you do business from home, because you have a primary. So you better be checking on those things, because everything you think might be a business expense is not necessarily one. And don't use your piggy bank to say, well, I really need this, and I'll use it in the business, but I can use it at home too. Don't try buying it with your business and expecting the IRS to take it. So be careful of that. Tech won't fill a bad business model. It won't fix it. Just because you buy a new computer and have a new program, that's not necessarily going to help your business. It may make some things more efficient and effective, but if you don't have customers, if you don't have product, having the greatest computer and the best software package isn't going to help you. Right. A lot of people think, well, we'll just upgrade, and so and the marketeers love that, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. But you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, is this really going to help my business? Recently, our computers went down. It was actually back in October, and so we had to have the computers redone and all of that kind of thing. And then we said, okay, now what? We're going to have to buy software again. And if we're going to have to buy software again, what should we get? And for instance, in our QuickBooks plan, we decided that the best thing we could do is to get the step up, because it also had, you could call up and you'd have online support. Wow, did that ever make a difference? That was huge. It saved us so much time because Barbara would have had to sit down and read the manual on all this new stuff that was in that program. So we had all that. So you have to decide. Tech is good, but tech won't fix a bad business model to begin with. So don't put everything in tech. Another one, you can't do everything.
That's true.
Some people, they're spread so thin that there's no way they can keep all the balls in the air, you know. Find out what you do best. And the companies that have succeeded over the past few years have found out what they do best, and they've eliminated what they don't do well so that they can really focus on what they do best. Don't try to do everything. It's like trying to be super mom, you know. All of these things. Something suffers in that. And you have to set your priorities and find out, what do I really need to do?
Yeah, I was going to say that's good for personal life too.
Sure is. It sure is. You're not the most important asset in your business. Now that's a heady one for the entrepreneur, for the visionary for a business. You're not the most important person in the business. Who's the most important person in a business?
The owner?
No.
No?
I feel like this may be a trick question.
No. It's the customers.
Well, that's true.
It's the customers.
Customer's always right.
You can have a great thing, but if you don't have any customers, you know, so it's an important thing to remember that your customers are the most important. It seems to me last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about the importance then of the owner, manager, superintendent, supervisor, whatever, being in touch with the front line, because that's where the customers bump into your staff or you. And so it's important to remember that. Another one, listening is the best business skill you'll ever acquire.
Absolutely.
If you want to know who your customers are, you got to sit down and listen to those folks that you think are customers and find out. And find out from them, is there something different they would like? We have several stores in town that they've discovered that customers like a particular thing. So what do? They put it on the shelf. And they found out some things, you know, when the backlog on certain things, so they eliminate it. You've got to listen to your customers. That could be through a survey, that could be through talking to them at checkout time, or talking to them when they place an order, or talk to them certainly and listen when you call them for new business. You know, listening, very important. Another one, you got to have a great team. You can't just have one person. Look at football. We'll use football as an example. You can have the star, but if the star doesn't have somebody protecting them, if the star doesn't have somebody to receive the pass, you don't have anything. You may have paid them millions of dollars to have the star, but if you don't have a team, the star isn't going to shine and the team isn't going to win.
That's right.
That's why it just irks me. I just have to, excuse me, it's personal. It just irks me when somebody makes a great play and they throw the ball down or they do the hoochie coochie and all of that. Wait a minute, you didn't do that. Your team did that. I used to like it that Penn State didn't have names on jerseys. They just had the numbers. Because the idea being, yeah, you're an individual, but you're part of this team. And so remember that. You need a great team. I love this one. Don't hire people you won't empower. Now, what that means is this. When you hire somebody, you hire them to do a job, but you want them to do more than that. You don't want them just to go through the motions. You want somebody that's willing to say, maybe to you, hey, you know what? If we might be more effective if we did it this way. You want somebody that's going to bring something to the job, not just do the job. Right. Too many people today are just looking for jobs to do.
Right.
And it's important that you bring something to that job. Even if, in this day and time, even if it's a job that is beneath you. Some people say, well, I'll just go do this. It doesn't take any thinking or thought or anything like that. Man, that's not an employee you want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because they're going through the motions and they're going to just drag everybody else down. Mm-hmm. So hire people that bring something to the job. Oh, I love this one. You can see this sometimes on the awards shows and all that. the person that we call the overnight wonder. There is no such thing as an overnight wonder or an overnight success. Usually that person has been in the business for years. Now, they may have one thing that came to the forefront that really elevated them quickly, but if they hadn't done all of this other stuff, they'd have never gotten to that point. So realize that you're not going to be an overnight success either. It takes work, and it takes work to move up the ladder. I like this one. Don't think like the business owner, think like a customer.
Because you want your customers happy.
Yeah. I think a business owner ought never to walk in, or seldom ought to walk in the back door. They ought to walk in the front door. What do your customers see? Literally when they pull up in the parking lot and come into your store. What does your store look like? What does it look like when you enter? What's it smell like? Is it bright? How are things displayed? How easy is the process of ordering or buying? All of those things. Think like a customer. And here's another one that's, I think, a strong one. You are your most important client every day. Now, what he means by that is this. Every business owner every day needs to think about his business. Now, we're not talking about inventory. We're not talking about customers. We're not talking about employees. We're talking about the package. You ought to be thinking about your business. Because what's happened lately is a lot of business owners have, because they're doing so many more things now than they had in the past because employment is down, is they get caught up in that and they aren't, it's big picture stuff. You still got to be looking at that. So remember, you are a customer of your business too. So I just thought this is a great, a kind of a great list, a mental jogging list here to make us kind of look at our business a little differently. So
Yeah, it's definitely some great points right there. You always bring some great things.
boy, this was a somber bunch this morning.
I know.
It's okay. Important things to talk about.
Yes,
for sure.
yes, and keep them on your mind. That's the thing. Is sometimes you say, oh, I know that, but haven't been doing it lately, and that kind of thing. So, just a memory jogger.
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in to talk
Always
with
great
us.
to be here.
Always great to have you. And we will be back right after these messages with more of the Mountain Television Network.